Today on the Healthful Pursuit podcast.
Eating meat and combining it with a keto lifestyle and keto way of eating has now, like I said, all of a sudden, I'm no longer in menopause, so scratch that.
Hello and welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I'm your host, Leanne Vogel, and whether you're tuning in for the very first time or you've been with me from the very, very start or somewhere in between, thanks for spending part of your day with me. Today, we're going to be diving into one of my most favorite topics and a topic that I think a lot of us brush over. I know that I can sometimes do the same thing, is not putting enough attention into how we're eating and how that impacts how we feel and how what we eat can really transform our lives. Like, we're all looking for that next protocol or those supplements. It's really going to make a difference. But our episode is about breaking down old food philosophies and embracing change and finding freedom through whole, real foods. We'll explore the challenges of transitioning to eating meat after decades of vegetarianism, which I did, the whole vegan thing. I know, I can't even believe it either. And the secrets behind the food industry that might surprise you, as well as how your food choices can really impact your hormones, gut health, and overall well-being. So a little tip that I like to do when it comes to my food is I'll take pictures of my meals whenever I remember. Like, sometimes it just doesn't happen, but oftentimes I'll snap a picture, it doesn't have to be professional looking, of my meal before I eat it. And every week, usually Saturday morning seems to be the day that I kind of go through my pictures and kind of get a feel for how I did that week. And I do track my macros. So overall, I know what those numbers are. But as I start to look through the pictures, I can tell pretty quickly, did I have enough vegetables? Is there green on the plate? And let me tell you, friend, there are days where I just mindlessly forget about greens and vegetables. And I know I feel better on them. I just get out of habit of eating them. And so taking pictures has been a really great way for me to just have a touch point of, am I hitting the goals that I want to hit? Even though my macros are dialed in, just because it hits your macros doesn't mean your health goals are going to be hit as well. So our guest today is Angela, the founder and CEO of Tribali Foods. And after 35 years of following a vegetarian diet and being an avid athlete, Angela made a really bold shift. She started incorporating meat into her diet and discovered incredible benefits, including hormone balance, gut healing, and freedom from sugar and cravings. I can speak to that as well. I am so much healthier eating the amount of meat that I do versus what I used to do. So today she's sharing with us her personal journey and how it led her to create a high quality, real food product that helps people like us eat better and feel better. This episode isn't just about eating meat or going keto. It's about learning to listen to your body, challenging our old beliefs that keep us stuck, and uncovering what could be best for you. Whether you're a longtime keto follower or simply curious about real food solutions, I know you'll find Angela's story super inspiring. So let's get to it. Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Hey, Angela, how's it going?
Good, good. I'm so glad to be here. Hi there.
Hey, yeah. So you mentioned right before we started recording, we actually met at PaleoFX, back in, I guess that was 2016, 2015. And we only got to talk for a brief moment. So I'm glad we get to talk a little bit more here because shows are crazy. You can't talk to anyone.
Oh no, it is. It's a crazy like eat-a-thon too. I mean, you're by every booth trying all these great stuff, but it's definitely a good show. I love it.
Yeah, totally. So before we dig in, I always like to ask our guests what keto means to them. What does keto mean to you?
That's a great question. And I would sum it up in three little words: freedom from food. And what I mean by that is I just don't feel like I have those shackles of like the battle that always goes on in your mind of should I eat this, should I not? When was my last meal? When's my next meal? Where am I going to find food? You just have this freedom. And your body, if you just listen, it'll tell you when it's hungry. And if you pay even closer attention, it'll tell you when it's full. You just have to listen. And I think keto has given at least me that freedom.
Yeah, that's like the most common answer is like freedom from food, freedom from having to eat all the time. There's always freedom somewhere in there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and it feels good to be free of that.
Yeah. And so what was your life like before keto?
Well, I was definitely a sugar burner. And I felt that because I was also a cyclist. I would do, 40-mile bike rides. And sometimes I would double dip. I would even, get off the bike and go to the gym and lift weights too. And so I was constantly fueling my body, but it was also a time that I was a vegetarian. So I was concerned with how much protein I'm getting. So I was always doing protein supplements, protein shakes, protein powders, protein snacks, and, trying to get it in that 45-minute window post-workout, because otherwise, your muscles are going to atrophy if you don't get the protein in, that whole philosophy. So that's basically the way I used to eat. And it was constantly fueling that carbohydrate need and that glucose to get me through my rides or my workouts. So it's a whole different ballgame now.
Yeah. And what was like your thing? Because I was a vegan, so I'm sure we could swap stories constantly about what it was like. So you were training and also a vegetarian, correct?
I was. But like I said, I was concerned with getting adequate protein. And because I wasn't eating a lot of beans, I was always supplementing, which, I did it for 35 years, Leanne. I don't know how long you were, but I was at age 13 to mid 40s. I was a vegetarian for 35 years.
Whoa, you don't meet a lot of people that make the switch. Like, I feel like if you've been vegan or vegetarian for more than 10 years, you're probably not going back to the dark side.
No, I came full circle.
And
I'm eating more meat now to make up for 35 years of abstaining, right?
Yeah, I found that too. I was vegan for, I think, like 8-ish years. And there was a period there where I ate like an immense amount of meat at every sitting. And now it's not nearly as bad. Like maybe I'll eat half a pound a day. By bad, I mean like just I was eating so much of it. But it's interesting you say that because I noticed that as well. It took me a long time to like regulate, get into a nice balance with protein. What were like your major foods that you loved when you were a vegetarian or you relied on so heavily because of the lack of protein?
So I will tell you, I did eat fish because you can't grow up Greek and not eat fish, right? So fish was, I guess, a pescatarian. So I would rely on fish a lot and not so much, like I said, not so much the beans. I would do quinoa, some grains, and, a lot of protein bars and protein powders, all that stuff kind of gave me irritable bowel syndrome too. I just had digestive distress constantly. I was never comfortable with digesting my food and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I'm eating so clean, but I'm eating so healthy. What could it be? So, there's a time that it worked really well. And then there was a time where my body said, okay, this isn't working any longer. So I think you just can't be so dogmatic about your food philosophy to not say, well, maybe I ought to give something else a try because what I've been doing for 35 years is no longer serving me. So
As someone who prioritizes fitness and staying active, I've been amazed at how much MitoPure has helped me recover from my workouts. Before, I used to feel wiped out after a tough session, but now I bounce back faster and feel ready to take on more. It's powered by Urolithin A, a groundbreaking postbiotic that promotes cellular renewal by clearing out old, worn-out mitochondria and recharging your cells. Since I started taking it, I've noticed stronger workouts, quicker recovery, and more energy to tackle whatever the day brings. And here's the best part. Even without changing my exercise routine, I've seen noticeable improvements in strength and endurance. If you're looking to truly follow through on your New Year's goals, this is the foundation you need. Right now, Timeline is offering 33% off your order of MitoPure. Don't wait. This is your year to be your most energized, revitalized self. Go to timeline.com/KDP33. That's TIMELINE.com/KDP33.
Was there, like you said, there was a point where it was working and then it wasn't working? Can you pinpoint what you started? Like you mentioned digestive issues. I experienced the same thing. I don't know if I could ever eat Daiya cheese again or any Daiya products or any Vega. Like I can't even stomach it. Even the smell of it is just too much for me. But when did you notice, like what were some of sort of the signs that you needed to change your philosophy?
So other than the digestive issues, there were also the hormonal issues. And I think we talked about this briefly at the PaleoFX conference in 2016. I thought I had gone into menopause. I'm like, okay, everything's shut down. All the hormones have bottomed out. I went to the OBGYN. He did all the tests. He's like, yep, you're there. Now you're just going to, if it's good for a year like this, you'll be postmenopausal after that. So I wasn't feeling well. And I just thought that I guess these are signs of menopause, right? Hormones were in a flux. Everything was weird, wonky. So that's when I thought, let me just try and incorporate a little meat back into my diet. And for a vegetarian, a long-standing vegetarian, to incorporate meat back in, I was really picky, and having studied nutrition, I was really picky on what kind of meat I was going to start eating. I wanted it to be organic. Sort of that's the baseline. Then, from there, grass-fed, and then hopefully grass-finished. So there's different layers of the quality. So I went and got my first steak. I cooked it up by myself on the barbie. No one was around. I'm like, I'm just going to try this out. It was a nice piece of 4-ounce steak. And I tell you, I ate it. I felt like, I don't know, some adrenaline rush. Like, oh my gosh, I'm having this. I haven't had it in so long. It felt satiating. It felt satisfying. And it was great. And so I then started incorporating different kinds of meat. You know how we say eat the rainbow of vegetables? I started eating the variety of meats, anything from pork to venison to turkey to chicken to lamb to beef, always thinking organic, free range when I could get it, grass-fed and finished, wild-caught seafoods, and just eating all these different types of proteins, a little bit at each meal. Again, I'm not doing 16-ounce ribeyes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just 2, 3, 4 ounces. Breakfast is usually a little lighter, and then it gets heavier, towards the end of the day. But every meal has some sort of animal protein in it. So that's what, and I felt my hormones were sort of regulating. But like I said, I thought I was in menopause. Well, lo and behold, Leanne, 3 months ago, I was resurrected from the dead. My period came back, and I'm now back as if I'm regular again. So I don't know what happened for 2.5 years. It's sort of unexplainable. Like I said, I just resurrected back up again. So something about eating this way has regulated everything and brought me back to life, I guess.
That's so interesting. I'd be really interested to see like what your hormone panel is displaying to kind of understand.
To figure it out. I'm just running a test actually next week, so I'll know. But it's weird. I mean, how could you go bottom out, flatline for like 2.5 years and then all of a sudden you're back in business?
A lot of women report when they go keto that they have been in menopause for, I met a lady that was in perimenopause 5 years, just dipped into menopause and then got her period back totally regular every 28 days. And she was angry at me. And I was like, no, I swear this is a really good thing.
So yeah, I mean, eating meat and combining it with a keto lifestyle and keto way of eating has now, like I said, all of a sudden, I'm no longer in menopause, so scratch that.
And what were the problems? I'm sure you had frustrations as you started incorporating meat. I know that I did, of like the quality and finding stuff that was convenient. What challenges did you come across when you were starting to incorporate animal protein?
So luckily, because where I live in Southern California, I have access to a lot of high quality meats. You've got farmers that you can buy local and direct from. There's also, now there's also companies that don't deliver right to your door. So it's easy to find it. Yes, you do have to spend a little bit more, but part of me is of that philosophy. Like I'd rather invest in my nutrition and not pay medical bills than, chintz on the nutrient density of food and then have problems later. Because I really do feel that food is medicine and there is a connection of what goes into your body or onto your body and how you're going to feel and thrive and perform. So I've just made that distinction. And like I said, I have found it easy, but part of my challenge too is time and convenience. So I would do a lot of, I've got 3 little kids and I'm a single mom. I would do a lot of convenience food that I would freeze, make on Sunday and freeze it and then pull it out when I needed it. And we're a burger family. We've grown up on burgers. And that's kind of how the impetus came to, let's just make little lamb burgers and pork burgers and salmon burgers and beef burgers and blah, 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 and different flavor profiles. And I would combine them and stick them in the freezer. And even family and friends would come by and go, oh, do you have that Moroccan lamb you made? And there were so many great flavor profiles. And that's kind of how this my little business came about. I'm like, if I can't find it, I'm going to make it.
That's so cool. And I love hearing those stories. There's so many women, especially that start eating keto and then they have so much more time on their hands because they're not hungry and their blood sugar is regulated. And then they hit a frustration with their diet and then come up with this whole new product line of all these things. And they're so inspired. And I think that that's just so cool.
Yeah. And whether you eat paleo or keto or clean, or there's room for products on the shelves, because I think people are becoming conscious of what they're buying. They're understanding to turn that label over and read those ingredients. I mean, what are we putting in our food, you guys? There's got to be some discerning, analysis of how we're making this food, because we can't always cook from fresh. There's times where we do need to buy packaged stuff or have stuff in our freezer, but you want to be sure that it's free of those additives and preservatives and binders and fillers and irritating gut ingredients. And we know what those are. So I wanted a product that was free of all that, something that I would make in my own house and serve myself. And you're right, no matter which way you eat, I think sort of at the basis, it should be free of all that other stuff that's put in packaged food.
And you mentioned binders and fillers and things. When you started getting yourself into the food industry and producing food, were there some things where you're like, what? People do this? Companies do this? How is this allowed?
Yeah. And there's so many loopholes. And I swear, Leanne, now that I'm in the business, it's really based on honesty and trust. Like I can do a lot of stuff and hide it and nobody would know. And my margins would be better. And my, investors might look at me like, oh, bigger dollars at the end of the day. And nobody would know but me. And I would know, and I wouldn't eat my own products. So that would defeat the whole purpose of starting a business. So there are a lot of loopholes. And you can, as a matter of fact, I was told by, one co-packer that, we could put some soy isolate in there, right, to remove the amount of meat. So you're not paying as much in the meat and that'll bind it. And I thought, no, this is not the direction. It's so against my standards. So I mean, you've got to be honest on what's in the back ingredient list. So I would just encourage everyone to just turn it over and just look for what you're putting in your system.
Yeah. And even further to that, something that I've been quite passionate about, especially over the last couple of years, is I like supporting brands that I love and I know their story and I know what goes into them and I just know the people behind them and I just want to support brands that are trying to do good. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's how I feel too. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can read the ingredient label and everything else, but there's nothing like just reaching out to a brand and being like, yo, my name's Leanne. What's your story? And anyone can do this just to understand like what's behind this brand. And, we all work so hard for our money and we all want what's best for our families. I think there's so much more to food preparation and producing than just food preparation producing. Like you're going into the homes of people and feeding their families. That's a huge deal.
I know. And you know what? It's for me as as a mom and now a food manufacturer, at the end of the day, that makes me feel so good knowing that I'm making a difference on people's plate. Like if I can change the way you eat one bite at a time, that's like my mission in life is solved. It really does. It brings me so much joy to know that I am making a difference, like you said. And it takes brands like me and other people out there that are doing the same stuff, just cleaning up the shelves, you know?
What if your coffee not only fueled your day, but also fueled your health? Paleo Valley's organic coffee goes beyond the typical brew. Sourced from organic, sustainable farms, it's roasted using solar power and infused with coffee fruit extract, a nutrient powerhouse that's been shown to boost BDNF, a protein essential for brain health and memory. And it doesn't stop there. This coffee is enhanced with 8 functional mushrooms, including lion's mane for mental clarity and cordyceps for natural energy. It's also low acid, so it's gut friendly and gentle, even for sensitive stomachs. Since I started drinking Paleo Valley coffee, I've felt more focused, less stressed, and I love knowing I'm supporting my wellness with every cup. Make your coffee work harder for you. Visit paleovalley.com/Leanne to save 20% and try it risk-free for 60 days. That's paleovalley.com/Leanne.
Okay, so we've chatted about gut issues, a little bit about blood sugar, athletic performance, going from vegetarian to eating meat. Any other thoughts on that? Like you mentioned gut issues, and I said, oh my gosh, Vega, that hurt my stomach so badly. But are there any other changes you've noticed eating meat now and switching over from not eating so much meat?
I will tell you, I had to incorporate it in back slowly. I don't know if I had the digestive enzymes to digest it properly. So I still was kind of battling a few tummy troubles, if you will. And then as I incorporate it more and more, now it's like 2.5 years I've been eating meat again, and I'm completely fine. And I just feel all the protein that I was concerned with, you can get it all from real food, like real vegetables, healthy fats, and this great protein. And when I, turn the levers, now being keto, and sometimes like Leanne, I did kind of what you and everybody else did. You dive in, pedal to the metal, hardcore, you're going to try this. And then I literally had to back off and do kind of the carb cycling that you promote as well. Because now that I'm on my period again, there's weeks in that month that I'm progesterone dominant or I'm, estrogen dominant. And I just have to know, and that's where you really have to kind of be in tune with your body to know when to incorporate a little bit more carbohydrates in to get you through that workout or to get your energy up or to get you through that day. And it's like playing with the levers of I almost look at it as a stovetop, and you've got your protein, your carbs, and your fats. And there's days that you just have to turn up that carb just a little bit.
Are there certain signs that you notice? I like to ask anyone who practices this because everyone explains it a little bit differently of when they know that those levers need to be adjusted. Is it more like an intuitive thing? Can you put words to it?
Well, the words that I can put to it and I notice like something tangible is when I'm in the gym. And I do deadlift and I do squats and I hit the legs hard. Like the arms, I don't feel as much. When I'm doing heavy compound movements, if I don't have enough fuel in the tank, I cannot get through. I can't get it up, that bar, or I can't lift that weight, which I usually do. So that's when I know there's not enough gas in the tank. There's not enough fuel there. And that's because I didn't eat adequately. So I just know that when I'm going to do legs on a hard day, I want to make sure that there's something there to get me through that workout. That's my only, that's my personal tangible that I can actually put my hand on and pinpoint the day or the time.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've chatted a little bit about like shifting gears. Do you ever see a reality where you'll shift gears again with your eating style? And how do you keep your life open to that if it's the case?
I don't know if I'm ever going back, Leanne. I don't know. I feel like I spent 35 years hungry and not satisfied. You would eat salads and greens and veggies, but I almost feel like I'm eating less quantity but better quality, and it's more satiating. Like I used to have to eat a garbage bowl of salads with everything but the kitchen sink in it to satisfy me. And now I can have like a 4-ounce piece of protein, half an avocado, 3 olives, and oh my gosh, that's satisfying and full to the next meal. I mean, how is that possible? You look at the amount of food and you're like, well, that's not going to fill you up. But it's what those 3 items do to your hormones and what signal it gives. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. So I don't see me going back. I'm not going back. I even played a little short while, to really swing the pendulum of being carnivore. Like I thought, let me just try this carnivore diet for 2 or 3 days. But I did miss my, greens. So I kind of had to bring it back to, I keep it simple now. It's like produce plus protein plus healthy fats. Every plate I make has that combination. I keep it real simple. Just fill it up with produce, make sure I get my protein, and am I drizzling it with healthy fats? Am I throwing on an avocado? Something fat's got to be there. So
yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if I could go like hardcore carbaholic again. And I tried carnivore for all of like one meal. And then I was like craving parsley, I just wanted like a whole handful of parsley. I just couldn't do it. And I don't mean one meal. It was probably like a day, but wasn't good. I could see myself dabbling in like a plant-based keto where I don't eat animal protein anymore. I could definitely see myself going there maybe one day, but I don't think I could ever eat carbs to the level I did before.
Nor do we need it when you're flexible like we've become now. That's where the freedom comes in. I don't feel like I'm craving that, bowl of chips or whatever it was. I feel like, I can have a little bit of a fat bomb, a little fat something, and that'll curb the appetite until the meal. And I don't need to, because once you start down that rabbit hole, you're just going to keep going. Once you start it, you start like carbing up, and if I do feel like I need some carbs, they're always in the form of like maybe root vegetables, that kind of stuff, not garbage, like Jimmy Moore says.
Garbage. I love that. Your N=1 experiments. Do you want to chat a little bit about that and kind of what you've learned? Anything in addition to what we've already chatted about?
Yeah. So I think, like I said, for me, it was listening to the signals that my body was giving me. So, and that's why they call it N=1, right? Because I can tell you what signals my body gave me and how I interpret them and what I did to meet those signals, but your body may not be giving you the same signals. So it doesn't really matter what worked for me, right? And that I've done one-on-one coaching as a nutritionist as well. And people just want to know, how am I supposed to eat? I'm like, well, how does this food affect you? How does this food, either change your mood or affect your hormones? And only you can know that once you start on that experiment. So I encourage everyone to start on their health journey and start on their N=1 because it's so individualized. We do tend to complicate things a lot. And that's why I kind of say, let's just simplify it. Everybody's going to do well from eating that, protein plus produce plus healthy fat. That's really what your plate should be. But you've got to listen to your body. Like, it's weird. I've done a couple of the MRT food sensitivity tests because there were things that were bothering me, and it told me that the things I was eating the most, I am now all of a sudden allergic to. So it had like salmon, asparagus, and eggs on there. I'm like, oh my God, I have salmon, asparagus, and a hard-boiled egg every other day. That's my go-to food. And now it showed that because when you eat something over and over again consistently, it now shows that I'm sensitive to it. So I have to do an elimination, get it out of my body for a couple of months and then slowly reintroduce it. So that N=1, really everybody should embark on their own N=1 to see, what foods bother them.
Yeah. And just like conscious living, I think N=1 allows you to just be conscious to the choices you're making, how they influence the results you experience. And it's just an overall good, I've never called it N=1, I think because it feels like not too science-y, but just like too restrictive. But I would say I'm a pretty intuitive person that's always asking myself, how did this go? How did that go? What if I try this? And just about being inquisitive of your body's reactions, I think is really important. So I agree with you. What's your favorite keto thing to eat right now?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. So we haven't even talked about my product, but they're beef patties, and I've come out with sliders as well. And one of them is pork and sage. And I love it because it fits so nice into the keto lifestyle. It's got 1 gram of carb, 11 protein, and 17 grams of fat. So I eat the pork and sage little mini sliders with your avocado fries.
Oh, those are
so on page 378. I have your book, and I love the fries with the dipping sauce. I mean, who knew I could make avocado into French fries? So that's my version of burger and fries.
Oh my gosh, that's
my mini sliders and your avocado dipping fries.
In my next book, I made these like crunchy jicama fries, and I would like to make the statement that I feel like they're better than the avocado fries. So watch for that.
Oh my gosh, if that can even be possible, Leanne, I'm addicted to these fries, and my kids love them too. I tell you, they're so yummy.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear. That makes my heart really warm because like I don't have a like food product, but I like to think that there's families everywhere making my recipes, and that makes me really happy too. What do you feel like is missing in the keto space right now for women?
I think more of an understanding of keto's effect on women's hormones. Like I said, I mean, I think a lot of what's put out into the keto community is by males and for males because their hormones are stagnant the whole time, the whole month. And we're not. We're like this, right? And each person is at a different roller coaster level. And I think knowing how to keto around those hormonal shifts, I would love to see more information on that. And I think, that needs to come from people like you and me and women that have experienced their cycles and their monthly cycle on keto.
So let's chat a little bit about Tribali and where people can find you and what products are your favorite.
That's like asking you which one of my 3 kids is my favorite. I can't
don't parents have a favorite? Like I have a favorite dog depending on my mood. Is it the same?
Well, I'm not allowed to disclose because I keep listening to my podcast sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. So my company's Tribali Foods. And like I said, I came up with these products because of my health journey, and lo and behold, there's more people that eat like us out there in the world. So they're really the bunless burger. They're the burger made into various flavor profiles. I've got the Mediterranean beef, the umami beef, a chipotle chicken, and we just came out with my favorite, I will say, the Thai turkey. It is, it's got ginger and scallions and the little coconut aminos. And all of them are Whole30 approved and paleo certified and non-GMO project verified and organic and grass-fed and finished and free range. So it's sort of as clean as you could get and as best quality as I could source. I also have the sliders that I told you about, the chicken and apple and the pork and sage. And I'm going to send you a box of everything so you can give them a try finally. And you can find me at tribalifoods.com. Also Instagram, we're very active there. I've got a lot of people like cooking it up and showing what they're making. And that's Tribali Foods. And we are sold in Whole Foods, in Target, Super Targets nationally, Walmart. We just launched into Walmart.
Wow, that's so big.
I know. And we're down where you are right now. So you should be able to find us around your area as well because we're all across the U.S. And we're growing. And I'm a one-woman show over here, but I wear many hats and it's a fun journey. And like I said, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives, and that gives me the warm and fuzzies. So.
Yes, and there's nothing like supporting an individual who's as passionate as you with a product that they love. So thank you so much for making it and sharing your story with all of us today and for coming on the show.
Okay, thanks so much, Leanne. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed our time with Angela today. You can find her at Tribali Foods, and I look forward to hanging out with you next week. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.